Recording. All right, good morning. I don't think we have any minutes. She would, I guess she would have given them to me if we had minutes, so we don't have
Nothing
minutes
here
today.
anyway.
All right.
Still.
Boys. Do you wanna let us know what you want before we start into our regular meeting? Do you wanna start first?
I wouldn't mind if you don't, I have to be in Livingston at like 12:30 and,
Okay, no, absolutely. Why don't you go ahead and,
well, I wanted to stop in and see if there was an update.
What's happened?
It's been 3 years since, the county modified my driveway. I think I've been pretty patient and diligent and letting you guys know that it hasn't worked. And I would like to, again, request that my driveway be put back to the original state when I bought the property. And there was an engineering study done last year. I'd like an update on that. And the other thing I'd like to mention is the speeding in that subdivision is out of this world control, out of control.
They are.
And being where I'm at, I see what's coming up Hanging Tree and then on Ambush. It's like a raceway.
you're not the only one.
So I don't mind if there's a possibility of putting in like a speed monitoring or whatever, you guys could even put it on my property. I don't care. But let people know, hey,
Yeah, we can try the little speed signs. They kind of slow people up for a little bit, but then Bear always says they make it a contest pretty quick to see who can go the fastest.
yeah,
Get the biggest mark on the signs.
I know.
They realize
right?
there's not a deputy there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
yeah. I mean, we can try that. The best thing to do is just touch bases with the sheriff, say, hey, we get somebody up here once in a while? Cause if you can get some presence up there here and there.
I don't know what the solutions are, and I don't think we have to, everybody's saying, oh, they need to pave that, and I'm the one that's saying, yeah, no.
Yeah, that's very true, very true. The better the road, the faster they go.
Yeah, the slowest they've ever gone was when my neighbor dug across the road to tie in a new water,
Made a
and
ditch
then we
across
had
there.
that hung.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And your driveway was asphalted, is that right? And did we tear out the asphalt to put
On
culvert
both of them.
in or?
Yeah,
Okay.
they were narrowed and the asphalt was removed. Not only that, but the armor that was at the bottom of the ditch of, when they rebuilt the driveways, that was all armored with fractured rock.
Okay.
So anyway, and I don't want to take a lot of your time. I'm just gonna, these are the latest pictures. Hasn't been a bad year.
No, we haven't had a lot of moisture.
Well, what did we hear from Great West?
So we didn't get our engineer study back from them until late April.
Yeah,
They were a lot later in their time frame than they had originally planned. Their plan is kind of the same thing I had already figured we were gonna have to do, a lot more bigger culverts and some catch ponds, and the problem is we just don't have the funding for everything that we have to be able to do up there to make it all work right now. We've got to get that one landowner uphill to do something with his driveway, which is proving to be a struggle. That's the number one contributor. But
The number one contributor.
Yeah. There's a lot more water that flows into that basin than even I thought. When you look at the hydrology maps, they gave us a report that was about yay thick.
mhm.
It's gonna be the installation of, I want to say it was about 10, 12 culverts along that road. A couple of catch ponds to help slow the water down. There's some other items, some other things that we said, we might be able to do to help mitigate it, but it's just being able to have the funding to do it and the time to get it done. But none of it's gonna matter unless we get that one gentleman to do something with his driveway.
You don't see that.
Is that's a paved driveway down onto the county road.
No, it's a
Yeah,
dirt driveway.
It's
that the
dirt.
gentleman
Yeah,
has.
they put millings on it last
Okay.
year. Yeah, they.
It doesn't seem to slow the water down.
What is that? Oh,
I think it's this one.
Yeah.
it is that
that
one,
is
yeah,
true.
that's the one.
They're building a house under their house.
Is that, is that,
Their house,
hmm.
holy cow.
is that paved?
They put millings on last year,
Millings on
up
it,
to the house there.
This house here.
Yes,
which makes it run a little faster.
it does.
And yours is driveways here?
The first one and the second one, yeah,
Okay,
There we
the
go.
two there, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you can see where there was disturbed out along the road, yeah.
Yeah, and I had somebody this year that, or this winter that their wheel got caught in the ditch, pulled a man, took out one of the county stakes that
Mhm.
shows where the culvert is, almost got me in my vehicle. But it just sucked him on me because it's,
Is this what's left your driveway right here? Is that your?
Yeah.
driveway? Okay,
yeah, I gave you just a few photos. It's not as bad as it has been when we have rain, but any small rain that comes down does affect me.
is there a culvert under this mess or?
There
There's a
was.
culvert, there's two culverts, yeah.
Good.
And
Problem
then,
is, there's so much sediment that comes down from up above that we just can't keep them
Keeps
flowing
it,
down.
No.
keeps it plugged, yeah.
can't keep up. I know the previous owner, he was the CEO of Norris and Marley, and he tried culverts twice. He owned the property for 50 years. And he told me they never worked, so I ripped them out. There's always a problem. So,
Do you think, like, I don't know, Bear would probably be able to answer this, something besides a culvert, like a hardened crossing or something that's got a little bit of a bump, I don't know, something like that would work better than a culvert or?
I don't,
I mean, I don't know how we're gonna fix this, like Bear said, there's a whole lot of work that needs to go get it done correctly, that might be something we're gonna have to talk to you folks up there about, if we wanna try to fix it, or just keep going as we're going, I'm not sure how to alleviate this, I guess, I'd like to get your driveway at least back to where it was.
Yeah, this isn't acceptable. We need to get up there and at least clean this portion of it and do something, but. The big problem is if we divert the water out of a ditch, then it ruins our road, which we can't have that
yeah,
happen.
you
And I
get
had-
a lot of erosion.
Yeah.
And the last time there was no erosion control put in place as far as like any landscaping fabric or anything in seeding. So it's caused quite the, erosion, but I had my front loop around driveway paved last year, repaved, $8,000, but they couldn't finish it because the end of the driveway is not in, it's
Right.
subpar, so,
This part right here.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
does it flatten out there fairly good, or is it pretty steep still right in there?
This is where it flattens out right there,
Okay, so
Yeah.
sediment just dumps right there probably.
the two of them, because it starts flattening out at the end of the trees there on the edge of the road, so. Anyway, I've probably taken more of your time than
No, you're
you guys
fine,
have
no, you're fine,
stuff to do.
we appreciate you.
The
coming in.
ongoing problem, yeah.
Yeah, if it was put back to normal, I could clean it off if it, gets debris on it.
So.
But
what
that's
was it-
not ideal either, because that debris then goes across the road, and I think that's one of the reasons that you guys started with this process, so. And I understand it's a process.
Look how much sediment is in that ditch there.
Yeah.
The
I
culvert's
really
a big
wish I
ditch.
I could collect that water, that would be an awesome
Yeah,
irrigation source,
no
wouldn't it?
kidding, yeah,
But,
and every year's different, this year, we could have probably done anything like that, it would have been fine. We could have just ditched it and done everything normal, but like a year like last year, where we
Oh,
just
yeah.
got pounded, then everything comes down the hill, so.
yeah,
Well, we appreciate you coming in, and we'll get with Bear and get up there and at least get something straightened out, and if we can get asphalt, I'm not sure if we have any other asphalt projects going on that we can get your apron put back on there, I'm not sure, but.
Okay.
We'll do the best we can.
thanks.
Yeah.
And if
thanks for
there's
stopping in.
anything we can do to alter the speed things.
Definitely give the sheriff a call to say, hey, we got a problem up here, can you have somebody drive up there once in a while? Cause if they're not there at all, then nothing's ever gonna change. And we can put a flashy sign up there, but that only helps for 2 days and then they're challenging themselves with it, so.
Yeah,
The only way I can slow them down is to not grade the road.
well, and that's okay too, actually, in
No.
my opinion. I don't mind the washboards there at the corner because it slows everybody down,
That
so.
everybody else calls it.
I'm an Alaskan girl, I'm from Alaska, and
Uh,
washboards were a part of my life, so.
normal thing, absolutely. Washboards and mosquitoes.
Slow down,
Yeah,
just slow down.
All right,
thanks,
thank you for
Everyone.
stopping in.
you bet. Try and make it back before fall.
All right, have a safe trip.
Bye.
Have a day. You want that?
Hmm?
You want that?
You want it?
Yeah.
That's actually
That's a pretty good gal.
I know what it looks like.
What to?
Chittenden,
Shitting wrong. Here, let me click on the.
Yeah, it's
now I'm not-
Chittenden. I can't remember the first name,
It's on
but-
the bottom.
The other problem with her asphalt aprons is we don't allow asphalt to connect to a dirt road because then we can't clean the ditches.
No, gotcha.
Or when we plow, we catch
Okay.
it with the plow and it causes more issues.
I didn't want to ask when she was here, but what are our options with that guy that lives uphill? In terms of making him do something with this road?
That's probably a Steve question there.
It sure is.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument that it's a unsafe. Or not necessarily unsafe, but a detrimental encroachment. However, I'll bet money there was never an encroachment permit done because the driveway's been there for how many years? You know, the county has some recourse through MCA to be able to go and say, hey, you're causing damage to the road.
Looks
But-
like it, yep, yep.
Or we had some maybe, if we'd have done it right.
Well, we still would. I mean, if, you know, we could still say, hey, your driveway's causing it. You know, one, do you have a permit? No, you need one and it needs to be brought up to a standard. We could still enforce that even though the driveway was, you know, probably every driveway in there was not put in with a permit, but.
But even at that, what are the solutions, you know, it's.
Well, that was part of the study from Great West is to put a big retention pond right there by the guy's driveway, but then you're taking out his trees, his big trees, old growth pines. You're gonna cause a lot of heartache on somebody's part. But then the neighbor just below him has asphalt and garage and everything right up to almost the road edge, so you still have a ditch issue. You know, it falls back to not enforcing encroachment permits and right of ways and offsets and
Yeah, he's right up against the.
Yep. So you just don't have a lot of room to work there.
And this is a private, is that
Yep, that's
private?
private drive.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Right where those pines are on the corners where they recommend one retention pond, but it kind of creeps into where he's got a parking pad right there. So you're gonna cause a lot of,
And if you culverted it to
Issues.
this side, you're gonna be into this guy's stuff, huh?
yeah, you'd have to get it across the road and then big ditch all the way down, which. You know,
Almost
we,
looks like the natural flow
Down to
down.
that
yeah,
natural
and it
down,
was.
Now
There's
it's
a
all-
pond down there, it looks like.
Well, there's another house below there.
Is that a pond?
That's a pond, isn't it?
Looks like it.
I think it flows along where it says ambush, it'll come down kind of
Goes that way.
that way.
It's probably the bottom right there.
Yep,
Maybe this ditch here.
yep.
Okay.
But so down to the bottom corner of ambush and hanging tree, there's a. Right there between bootlegger, hanging tree and ambush is a,
Marsh.
well. All that sediment washes across from all those culverts and we have to clean that out with probably 2 truckloads every year.
Wow.
Um,
And we're buying sand?
yeah, a lot of them we're putting back on the road.
Are ya? Nice.
But it's, you know, the one option that I'm hopeful for, because there was one conversation about, you know, grading it and then chips it to help keep the sediment or to keep the fines on the road. And then we could, if we were to do that, then we could rock the ditches and not have to pull ditches. And that would help a lot.
It would be great.
But the other one is maybe with the dust pods, if it would hold everything together enough, we could look at doing something similar to that without having to chip seal it. It just comes down to money versus priorities. Cause we've got other areas where we're washing out more major roads because we've got one culvert in a 4-mile stretch. And
Let's say go up and clean up her,
yeah, we gotta
approaches
fix
there.
that a little bit. That's not acceptable, but
yeah, whatever that we gotta do there and, yeah, I don't know. Putting asphalt, like you say. up
Until
to
the next flood, you know.
Yeah, until the next gully washer or,
you know, part of it is going in and having the right of way surveyed and saying, this is our right of way and we're gonna do what we need to do in this right of way to flow water.
right,
And then these are the standards for our driveways and they're required to have culverts and they're gonna have culverts. And try to figure out a way to slow down the water before it gets to her driveway. But we've put rock baffles, straw baffles, wattles,
right,
numerous things in them ditches and they just get filled with sediment from that upper driveway and
yeah.
it just doesn't matter when you're getting a couple inches of rain in an hour. But we'll keep working on it.
Yeah.
We'll either get it fixed or retire, one of the two.
All right, I'll move on to the next thing here.
Just a few calls for potholes over the last couple weeks, nothing major, just a couple here and there, but they're getting pretty nitpicky, like. One's on the edge of the corner of coming off the front of the road onto Holmes Gulch, there's a small pot, like it's more the edge of the radius is kind of deteriorated. So they're getting pretty nitpicky on their potholes right now, but
Where's
still
that?
up there on
Holmes
Holmes Gulch. and-
Holmes, okay,
All the way in the north end.
cutting the corner.
Yeah, so there's a couple others throughout the county, but their potholes never go away, so. A couple of requests for mowing. I've tried to explain to folks that prior to me coming here, we didn't mow until September. It's only recently we started mowing in June. We don't mow for visibility or weeds or for fire. We mow for snow.
That's right.
Snow protection to reduce the amount of
For
drifting.
drifting.
With the heat right now, we put a hold on mowing. We did start mowing a couple weeks ago. But with the snow or with the heat and the red flag warnings and everything, we put a hold on until things cool off and get a little precipitation.
Bear, do you have a time frame? I mean, I understand what you're saying right now, but like the north, you do the north and you do the central and then you do the south, or is it just whatever?
We started around here just because that's where the mower was at.
Oh,
Then it'll probably go, just depends on who's ready for it next when that time comes.
oh, okay.
And it's not, it might be September before we start mowing again. Like I said, we don't do it for fires because it doesn't matter if it's 6 inches tall or 6 feet tall, it's still gonna burn. We don't do it for, last year we did do some earlier for visibility because there were some areas with how much grass we had. There were some corners that had 4-foot tall grass and you just couldn't see around the corner, but generally it's just so we're ready for winter for drifting. That helps get the snow off the road. As far as crew updates, had everybody down working on that washout on Boulder River Road last week. They got that done pretty quick and pretty good. And then most of them have been working down on Hot Springs Road in Whitehall, doing some big outs there. Apparently there's a spring or something under the road because they found lots of water.
Really?
Yeah, it was a mud bog underneath it, so we're digging it out, putting down some fabric, putting some better material in, putting some grid over it. Short of digging it down 10 feet and putting in French drains clear down to Cardwell, there's not much more we can do. So. Then like I said, working on some mowing around here and some brush trimming. We had some pretty bad brush hanging out on Highward that they had to get taken care of. That's kind of what they've been working on. Just an update on that email about that Iron Mine Road. There's no actual iron mine road that we can find on any maps. The only road coming out of the north of Elkhorn is Diego Town Road. But we had a realtor reach out about that earlier this spring, so I'm sure it's the other guy that is up there. His realtor called. There's no documentation anywhere on either of those road names. There's an Iron Mountain Road up there as well. That's the end of Diego Town Road. Nothing on that one. We have no documentation history. That all we have is a map from 1914 showing that there was a road up there. My opinion is it was just an old mine access road. It would be protected under RS 2477, but there's no designation number, or it's definitely never been petitioned as a county road.
Okay.
So,
Was somebody inquiring or?
yeah. Yeah.
Forest Service is throwing it at us and we're throwing it at the Forest Service, one
Oh.
of those, you know, back and forth deals.
And I'm not sure why the
Throw 'em
Forest
one more
Service is
time.
doing that, because when I talked
Throw
to,
them one more time.
when I talked to Tim Leahy about it, he kind of agreed that if anybody owned it, it was theirs. So, because it is
Well-
part of the Elkhorn to Crow Peak Loop Trail. So, and that has a Forest Service designation.
Melissa gave them a Forest Service address, I think.
So on her map, she's got a Forest Service designation, but you look on the Forest Service map and any other map, that doesn't show it. I don't know where she got that number from.
I'll have to follow up with her before I tell this guy what I know.
Yeah. McCarty Creek, I had mentioned before, we were gonna get that reroute done last week. There was a lot of concern from some guys that if we didn't have some signage and some information put out, kind of informing people of the reroute and why. The one, we were gonna get calls about the road being blocked and that people were gonna try and make their own way around the blockage. So we're gonna get some kind of informational signs done up before we pull that off, just to try and help mitigate the problem.
Sounds good.
And then I got the wrong date on there. I've had August 5th down on my notes for dust pods, but it's, I believe it was August 12th is what he texted me back this morning. The week after.
You got the mill machine coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. August 12th. And so I'll get a informational release put together for working up there in Jeff City and let him know we'll be up there tearing up the road.
Corbin.
Corbin Road,
Corbin, Wicks, Spring Street,
Okay.
the whole area, huh?
that whole area.
Did we ever figure out with the fire department if we're gonna culvert that driveway they've got that's 200 feet long?
I was
No,
just
it
thinking
hasn't
about
been
that.
as big of an issue this year because we haven't had the water, so
Right.
it's kind of been out of sight, out of mind.
It'll come back.
Kind of depends on how we want to push it, because one, I can say that they don't need a driveway that big. You know, so they need to put a culvert in, and I can say that it's.
Have
their
you tried to turn a
driveway.
fire truck around in that driveway?
I've turned around in a lot of spots. Have you taken a tender up to Cataract?
Not recently.
You know, I mean, it's, if we take the fact that they're the fire department out of it, you know, it's their driveway and it's their responsibility to do that. So
Could you put that long of a culvert in there or would it be problematic?
it'd be a hell of a time to keep it clean.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Well, we'll just.
But I would say let's wait until after we do the dust pause and kind of see how it holds up, because after, if you get everything to stay, it might not be washing out like it is.
Makes sense.
So, and I think that we'll need to look at doing some other culvert work up there to possibly redirect some water that would help alleviate that. Part of this project also would be doing some ditch work on the lower portion of Spring Street and some culverts down, getting the water down to prickly pear there behind the bar, so that it's not just sitting along the side of the road.
That would be nice.
So, but yeah, that's scheduled to start August 12th.
Perfect.
Community improvements.
Keep our fingers crossed.
August 12th is, because August 10th is Fire Community Day. So that's good to wait 2 days.
Your Jefferson City
Mhm,
Community
At the
Day.
fire department.
That
Kids
should
Day.
take about a week and a half to do all that,
That quick, huh?
roughly. Let's say it's a mile a day, and I think it was about 7 miles that we were doing, 7.5 miles.
How many of your staff are you gonna have to pull off for that?
Almost all of them,
Everybody?
at least to get started. We're gonna need flaggers, traffic control,
Right.
Can I be a
water
flagger
track,
for a week? I
compactors,
think so.
blade hands. We're probably gonna be running,
Can I be a flagger for a week?
that one will only have the
Get
one.
out of
blade.
here.
Are you state certified?
No, but I am certified.
Can you throw your sign? in the park and-
Certifiable,
Yeah,
yeah, certifiable. It's different.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what we got going.
Same stuff.
Same stuff, different day.
Yeah.
Question, where you at on Heidi Way with the bridge? Is there any more graffiti going on down there on the bridge?
You mean on,
Wasn't
that's
it?
not
Hubbard?
Highway.
Or Hubbard, excuse me.
Yeah, we got a bunch of it painted over a couple weeks ago. There's always gonna be graffiti.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen, but
Just
we got
curious.
the most offensive stuff all covered
Okay.
up. So it's good enough for now.
I didn't know.
You
Heidi-
left the derogative stuff about Commissioner Dan on
Yeah,
that.
you did.
What's
I
that?
didn't know Heidi Way had you
The
placed
stuff-
graffiti.
the
though. For a
derogative
second, I
stuff
was like,
about you,
where
he
would
left
you
it on
graffiti
there.
on
Oh,
Heidi?
Underneath the red bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They got quite a bit of it covered up. So we just ran out.
Haggerty's a dirty old man, so we left that on there.
no,
You can leave the facts up there.
No, they spelled it wrong, so it wasn't me. They spelled it with two T's on there.
Haggerty, yeah.
Yeah,
Are we gonna do anything with that culvert up high or the one that the guy was screaming at you at that meeting? Are we gonna actually do something with that or is it?
it's on my list of things to do once we get through all this big stuff.
Okay,
So culverts are gonna be kind of put on the back burner until we get through dust pods.
okay,
I've got to get down to Cedar Hills and get a bunch of culverts put in because it hasn't been a problem this year, but last year with all the rain, there's about a 4 mile stretch that has everything drains into one 12-inch culvert.
really?
At the bottom of the drainage. And so we had a lot of washouts. I mean, it was cutting 3 foot, 4 foot deep trenches along the side of the road. So we got to get about a half a dozen or more culverts put in. We've got them all marked out. We've talked to landowners to make sure, we're going to drain them out into their fields. We're all set up. We just got to get to it. Up here on Depot Hill is another one where there's a few places where there are no culverts, and there should have been up in the subdivision. Up in Silver Bell, there's a lot of places where it's washing across the road and causing issues where there was never a culvert put in, or we've got some bad culverts that need to be replaced. So that's one that we want to get to, but it is flowing, it is working, it's
Okay.
not collapsing.
Not a priority yet.
Yeah, I mean, we still want to get the other one out of there, but other than the fact that it was really cold this winter, there's not anything wrong with the culvert.
Right.
It's flowing and working properly.
Okay,
And I've gone up there with maps and GPS, and where all of his stuff is that was supposedly damaged is not his property.
not his property even.
Yeah, his property is about 100 yards up the hill from where it was froze over.
Is Iowa on your dust pods list when you start putting that stuff
It
down?
is.
Okay,
Yeah, at least up to that point, up to the turnoff to Bishop Creek. He said we'll hopefully get to that one. I've got that. There's a lot of roads that we want to do. It's just depends on how fast and how the weather cooperates.
right.
Once we get done on Hot Springs though, that's kind of our next step is to get doing dust pods. So we can try and get a bunch of this done. And I want to try a variety of roads. I think Jefferson City is going to be a really good example with high traffic and a couple different conditions. Highway's going to be a good one. I wouldn't mind getting into a couple of subdivisions and doing a couple just to see how they hold up in there and work with some bad drainage areas. So we just kind of want to jump around and do a few areas and get some test areas done right away, and then we can kind of see what we have time for following that.
Tom Benson's been in contact with you still, right? So he's up to snuff with what's going on with you in terms of Cedar Hills.
It should be. We're not
Haven't
dust
heard
oiling.
anything from him.
And I told Shayla we need to change when people call for dust oil, not to tell them we're not dust oiling, just to tell them that we're working on a new product and that it's going to be a slower process. That way they take it a little bit differently than we're not doing it.
Yeah, we're not doing dust oil, we're doing something else that hopefully will
Yeah.
take the place of the dust oil, hopefully.
Well, in essence, it is a dust oil. We're just not doing mag chloride anymore.
Right. And we don't use it for dust control. That's one thing that you gotta remember to tell people, we don't do dust control. If you want dust control, you're gonna have to pay for
So
it.
that's something that has been kind of forgotten over many years, you know, and it's been in the old policies and new policies is the county does not do dust control. The county does road stabilization. Dust control is on the residents if they want.
And you speaking about that, I forgot you weren't here, but Frank Stratton had called me and asked, since you're not gonna use mag chloride, he said it sort of rusted out or was ruining his, cattle guard. So he asked that if that were the case, to drop it back further from his, because it's not on the, I don't think it's on the cut off on Race Road there. I think that's where he's talking to, where that's at. Up
Know
there in
where
Cedar
Grace
Hills.
is, but
Yeah, he lives back
I
near,
suppose
I just got
we
a
don't
cattle
do
guard.
any mag right there.
I suppose it would raise hell with metal.
He said mag was just tearing the living day, so he was gonna ask if that happens, drop it back further.
We don't do mag over that cattle guard.
No, not over before. It was right up to it, I guess is what it was, not over it.
Hmm.
So I don't know, that's what he was saying.
I suppose
Just an
wheels carry it
FYI.
on. Wheels carry it onto it or something.
Mud stick to it, or
Not kidding.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah. Water does just as much damage. There's plenty of rusted cattle guards all over this county.
Steve Marks called me, he said he had a couple issues up there, and told him you were on vacation, I'm not sure, did you get his message or,
I had a voicemail, but he's on my list of people to call.
okay. Let me know, try to get to him, he's kinda
Yeah,
He's
a little
wanting
bit of a
us.
priority guy.
It was something about doing dust oil before they start the highway closure project, but it's not gonna have any effect on any of our gravel roads, so.
Yeah, I was scratching my head thinking, how's the 282 project gonna affect his
Yeah.
road in front of it, cause it should actually improve it, cause everybody will go towards Clancy instead of towards
Mhm.
the swimming hole, I guess. So I don't know. I might have to-
Everybody's gotta go to Clancy exit. Nobody's gonna be coming up Plum Gulch to
Right,
get around it, so.
yeah. So it should
they
actually
take
help him.
they take that dirt cut off underneath that tunnel and go past the pole office. A lot of people do that, so maybe that's what he's worried about. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't see.
I'm
how-
not pretending to know. I'm just,
It shouldn't change.
I don't see how people coming from Blue Sky and Forest Park coming down the frontage road to the exit is gonna
Should have
affect.
no effect on Steve.
Yeah.
So it'd be pretty much all one coach, anything on one coach, but again, it would help him.
Nothing's gonna change coming down from Lump.
Right. And I might have to go up there and talk to him. He was talking about us digging or pulling what do you call it, the ditches. Pulling the ditches too much where he can't get over into his fields. Did he say anything about that to you or? No, okay.
He had mentioned one time about us catching a culvert and we went and looked at it and there was no, like, it wasn't caught.
Hmm.
But again, if he needs to get through a ditch to his fields, he needs a driveway. You know, we have to be able to pull the ditches on our roads.
Right.
So,
Okay. I'll call him back and try to get some more clarity from him and maybe run up there and see what he's talking about. I think that was all I have for you. Ambush Ridge was on my list. She beat me to it. She always beats me to it. See how we're doing up there. That's a mess. You guys have anything else for Bear?
I was just gonna mention to Steve too, that he'd be better off to call him the office.
What's that?
Mention to Steve, he'd be better calling the main office when he needs stuff
Oh, okay. What's he
on
calling?
the cell phone.
Always calling your cell phone. Okay.
Which sometimes works, but
Yeah,
I don't know his
you're-
greatest calls, especially when I'm out of town.
Yeah. Did you get this in the mail? Maybe not. Another Martinez deal.
I'm not sure what it is.
He's just saying the fences are in the right of way, they need to be removed. essentially.
Encroachments are in the wrong places.
This-
These need to be removed.
Jay Larson, yeah.
So you talk to him.
He called me and sent me a bunch of pictures. Right there on the corner of
Martinez.
Martinez and South Hills where that bus turnaround used to be.
Mhm.
When they put the fence in, he's saying that it's in the right of way. And he says it's not a county road. I have nothing to do with it. He says, if whoever, this is the people that own that property, have a survey company and surveyed it, so I'm sure the fence is pretty close. The one thing I do know is that the road is not centered in the right of way there. So you can't just look at the road and say that it's not 15 feet or whatever from the middle. I says, but it's not in my purview because it's not on a county road. He's just mad because he got yelled at for parking on the side of Martinez.
Oh, gotcha.
And then he was complaining about some stuff up higher, and I had to teach him that past Martinez is arrow route, which is private road.
All right, well, let Steve give him a letter back, I
Is
guess.
he an attorney?
I don't know who he is. He's some guy out of Helena.
Your eyes like one.
Yeah, he's out of Helena.
Or Timber Lane, Clancy, Montana. I'm
He's
not
got,
sure.
he's got a neighbor that's a little rough on him.
Mm.
I think he gets a little.
Oh, he has a Clancy address, because when he called me, he said he lived in Helena,
Really? Huh? Maybe he owns property up there or something.
maybe. Could be a different guy.
Could be.
I had a couple of guys call me about 2-3 weeks ago with issues from Martinez Gulch and being yelled at for parking along the road, going on the hiking trail.
We're meeting with,
Prickly
Prickly
Pear.
Pear, is it next week?
I
Next
think it's
week.
next Tuesday.
Just the one guy, I think, and maybe. It's just us and Prickly Pear anyway, nobody else, so.
Mary has called me and she wants me to call her. So
Mary,
Mary Hollow. Well, she must want to be in the meeting too.
all right, Bear, well, thank you. Everybody good with there? Glad you're back to work. Dylan did a good job. I had
Glad you're
issue-
sober. Yeah.
One issue of Jackson Creek, you know, and talked to the customer, and the customer emailed me and said, thanks for sending him up. And he appreciated the time and he understood where we're at, so Dylan did a good job.
I didn't know his
Good.
name, but somebody did to compliment on whoever was doing the, something up in north. And that he was covering for Bear, and I
Yep.
see, I didn't know his name.
Good.
So,
That
yeah,
was-
he got,
Dylan.
Or I mean Dylan. Yeah.
well, he was very complimentary, the guy. I should have written the information down, but I just said, oh,
Dylan
I must know,"
Jefferson
and I
here.
forgot till you just said that.
Yeah, he's a good hand. It's nice to be able to go out of town and not have to worry about things.
Yeah, he's pretty young guy.
Yeah, he's got his head on straight. He had to take yesterday off though. He had a couple,
I had to recover from
had a
this.
couple issues with some of our guys last week, so.
Yeah, I know. That's the fun part about being the boss.
Yeah,
Yeah, nobody likes you.
yeah. Have a great day.
All right, Bear, thank you.
Yeah.